Welcome to Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University students. Today the topic of the discussion is man-made disaster. So before going into the topic, let me tell you the basic concepts. Today you might have seen that one part or the other part of the world is experiencing hazard or else disaster. You might be witnessing these things when you are reading the newspaper, when you are listening to the news and etc. Isn't it? So, being a geography students, it is our prime responsibility to know the basic concepts of the hazard as well as the disaster. So for a layman, both words are hazard as well as the disaster, both the words are interchangeable words. But for geographer or the geography student, there is a difference between hazard as well as the disaster. So what is the difference and how the different types of disasters are there, that those things are going to be discussed in this class. So after completion of this discussion, you will be able to understand the basic concept of the disaster as well as the various types of disaster and difference between natural as well as the man-made disaster. In this class, I am going to emphasize few of the man-made disaster including above concepts, isn't it? So first you see, so for a geographer, hazard and the disaster, what does it mean? How it differs each hazard from the disaster? Let us know, okay? The hazard is the one you can understand looking at this concept or looking at these figures, okay? Hazard is the phenomena where it has the potential to cause the destruction to life or else property. That means it has the potential to cause the destruction to life or property, wherein disaster is the phenomena where it causes damage to life, property and the environment. So whenever the human component is involved in the hazard, that will become the disaster. So do you understand what I mean to say? Whenever the human component is involved in the hazard, that will turn into the disaster. That means when the hazard has the potential to cause the damage, in the disaster it will damage the life or the property. That means the human component is involved. Because of that, we are telling it as the, or we are expressing it as a disaster. That means all the disasters are hazards, but all hazards are not disaster. For example, I will make you to understand by giving this example. For example, in our village, heavy rainfall has come to our place, but there is a loss of damage of the property, but there is no human component involved. That means there is no damage to the life. So that will become the hazard. When there is a death of humans in that particular natural hazard, then that will become the disaster. So this is the way, the difference between hazard as well as the disaster, and this can be easily understood by this picture. You can see this is the rock which is falling over here, isn't it? That means these people are vulnerable to this particular hazard, but when it is fallen on the people, then that has become the disaster. So when the people are near to this, those people are vulnerable people. If the people are far away from that particular hazard or the disaster, then those are reach or far away from this disaster, or they are not vulnerable people. So that's how the hazard and the disaster can be defined. So there is a link between hazard, vulnerability, capacity and the ring, and this can be expressed in this way, that is risk which is equal to the hazard. When we are multiplying vulnerability with the hazard, then you will get the risk. That is, capacity is ability of the coping and responding to reduce the loss. For example, if you have any vehicle, if it is rainfall, then you will move away from that particular place. That means that is your capacity or ability of coping and responding to reduce the loss, isn't it? So that is to be known as the capacity. These are the basic terminology to understand what is hazard, disaster and the difference between hazard and the disaster. Okay, so let us go ahead. So the contextual meaning or a particular or a predefined definition of the disaster which has been given by the Disaster Management Act, which has been done in the year of 2005 of Government of India. Let us see that definition. Okay, disaster is a catastrophe, mishap, calamity or the grave occurrence in any area arising from natural or negligence which results in substantial loss of life or human suffering or damage to and destruction of property or damage to or degradation of environment, and is of such a nature and the magnitude as to be beyond the capacity of the community of the affected area. This is the proper definition which has been given by the Disaster Management Act in the year 2005. Okay. So, now how it has taken birth, okay, that is etymology. So, it has been derived from Middle French disastre and that from Old Italian disastro. In Greek we will say that does means bad and aster means star. So, you will come to know that disaster is bad star, that means it is resembling bad or the negative vibes. Why? Obviously, when the human component is involved, when it is damage to life as well as the property, that itself will understand that there is a negative factor which has been involved, isn't it? That's why we are calling it as a bad star. So, the root of the disaster, that is bad star in Greek, that is an astrological sense of calamity blamed on the position of the planets. Okay. Now, if you look at the various definitions of the disaster which have been given by the various institutions worldwide, then we will see. Okay. For the first definition given by the American Red Cross in this way, a disaster may be defined as an occurrence either natural or the man-made that causes human suffering and creates human needs that victims cannot alleviate without assistance. This definition which is given by the American Red Cross. So, next definition given by the World Health Organization is this way: a disaster can be defined as any occurrence that causes damage, ecological disruption, loss of human life or deterioration of health and health services on a scale sufficient to warrant an extraordinary response from outside the affected community or area. And another definition, in this way many definitions have been given by the many world level organizations. Okay. Then we will go, as we have already seen that the definition given by the Disaster Management Act. So, in this way the basic concepts are like this. The difference between hazard and disaster, I think you are now understood. So, let us go into the another point. So, the second point is, let us now discuss about the different types of disaster based on its source of hazard, isn't it? First one is natural as well as the man-made hazards as well as the disaster. Let us go into the details of these two. Okay. First one is natural disaster. A natural disaster is a, when I am saying the natural, it is unforeseen natural event, isn't it? Man-made, you keep aside for the time being man-made disaster. Okay. We are talking about the natural disaster. The name itself has the meaning. So, naturally calamity, unforeseen natural event which causes massive harm to people. Okay. So, that is to be called as a natural disaster, and the sources could be many. The reasons for the natural disasters may be many, okay, such as astronomical event, that might be plate tectonics movements which you have learned in the first semester, isn't it? And the next one is Earth's gravitational pull and the geological weathering and the atmospheric differences or the disturbances or the changes. These all might cause the natural disasters. Or natural disaster causes harmful impact on community in terms of loss of life and damage to the property. So, examples of the natural disasters might be flood, tsunami, earthquake, drought, and the cyclone, volcano, wildfire, landslides usually will take place in hilly area in northeast of India. You can take the examples of the landslide, because whenever the high area is there, due to heavy rainfall, that landslide will take place. This all can take as an example of the natural disasters. Okay. So, the next category is the man-made disaster. Try to explore the meaning looking at the word itself. When I am saying the natural disaster, it is a natural event. The man-made disaster is, it is the disaster which has been or which is due to the anthropogenic or the man-made activities. It can also be termed as the anthropogenic disasters or events which are caused by human activities, either accidentally or intentionally harming mankind. So, man-made disasters also may affect the mankind from community to the global level. The causes of occurrence of man-made disaster could be many, such as substance abuse, mechanical malfunctioning of the technology glitch, and the improper planning and the designing, and the poor maintenance, and the human negligence, which is very important, which I am going to talk in next slides, in the implementation mistakes and misunderstandings. These all are cause the man-made disaster which are going to impact on the human life or the humankind. Okay. So, examples of these are, few examples have been mentioned. Apart from these, there are many examples. Okay. The examples of these are air pollution, industrial fire, gas and radiation leaks, toxic gases from the waste materials, oil spills, and the forest fires. So, in your syllabus, there are few man-made disasters have been included which we are going to discuss today. So, let us have look at the classification of the disaster in the table, which are classified like natural and the man-made, to have a glance about the disaster, and you can go through with that. Natural, again they have been divided into geological and the geophysical, meteorological, biological and all, and wherein man-made disaster again they have been classified into accidental and the intentional. In the accidental, you may see the industrial failure, transportation accidents, infrastructure collapse and the structural failure. Okay. So, this is the glance of the classification of the disaster. So, the next one is you can see the types of natural disasters based on the source of hazards, like geophysical, you can see avalanches, earthquakes, limnic eruption, mass wasting, sinkhole, tsunamis, volcanic eruption. Whereas the climatic natural hazards are blizzards, cold waves, drought, dust storm, glacial lake outbursts, and the meteorological hazards, hydrological hazards, biological hazards, extraterrestrial hazards have been given in the table. Okay. Then the next category is types of man-made disaster based on the source of hazard, that is industrial failure. You can see the chemical spills, toxic releases, gas and radiation leaks, industrial explosion, hydel dam failure. These have been included in the industrial failure. And the next category is transportation accidents, in the infrastructure collapse, structural failure, scientific lab failure, and the intentional things. So, these all will come under the man-made disaster based on the source of hazard. So, let us go into the detail of the man-made disaster. The first one which have been included in your syllabus is industrial fire. See, when you are establishing industry, it will provide the employment opportunities, due to which there will be the increase of the income level in the family. So, when you are having these many advantages by establishing industry, at the same time these all advantages, if you consider the one side of the coin, there will be the other side of the coin where you do have the disadvantages of the industry, establishing industry. That means, what does it mean? Shouldn't we establish the industries? No, that is not the way. We should establish the industry, but we have to coordinate the things between advantages as well as the disadvantages. So, when the industrial growth is very crucial for economic development, but has its both pros as well as the cons. What are those cons? We will see. Okay. For example, industrial disasters occur due to the failure in civil, chemical, mechanical or electrical system, because the industry might be anything, chemical industry, that might be mechanical industry, that might be anything, whatever might be the industry. If any fire has been taken place in that particular industry, what will happen? It will cause damage to not only the property but also cause damage to the life community or the human community, isn't it? So, that will become the disaster. Then where does this fire will take place? It may take place during the production, during the transportation, during the storage of the things, during the waste disposal, during the explosion fires or the radiation exposure. So, these are all at the stages which have been included where the industrial fire may take place. So, chemical disaster result from fires or the explosions involving hazardous substances in storage or the transit. So, these incidents, whatever just now I have said, so these incidents cause severe damage to industries and nearby areas, leading to loss of life as well as the property. Let us see those what are the industrial fires which have been taken place in not only at the global level but also in India. For example, you can see that Piper Alpha industrial fire which has been taken place in the year of 1988 and the worldwide which affected the thousands of the people. If you look at the India, you can see the few industrial and fire disaster proved very fatal. For example, Upahar cinema fire which was taken place in the year 1977, and the next industrial incident which has taken place in the year of 1995, that is Mandi Dabwali in the state of Haryana, and the Amri hospital that is situated in the Kolkata in the year of 2011, and the recent industrial fire which was taken place in the year of 2023 in our Telangana is nearby Nacharam Pharma factory. So, this is how the industrial fire will also considered as the man-made disaster because of many reasons which have been mentioned earlier. Okay. The next thing, our next disaster which is we are going to discuss is gas and the radiation leaks. Whenever I am saying the gas and the radiation leak, that means a gas leak is referred to the leak of the natural gas or else another from a pipeline or the container affecting the area, surrounded area, and where the gas leaked. Okay. These can be very hazardous to our health as well as the nearby surrounding environment. Okay. So, this ionized radiation is hazardous to living beings and the affected area remain unsafe for the human habitation. So, for example, when I am telling the gas and radiation leaks, most of the students may get the idea that okay, somewhere it is connected with our India, because we have seen that a fatal thing which has taken place in our India in the year of 1984, that is Bhopal gas plant disaster, because which was taken place in the year of 1984 on December 2. So, what is the gas which has been released in that particular radiation leak? That is methyl isocyanate. Okay. Due to leakage of this gas, many of the people have been impacted by getting cancer, or most of them have been, most of the pregnant ladies have been impacted and they have given birth to the some sort of blind people, and or else it has been impacted on that way, and that is how most of the life it has damaged to the humankind in our India in the year of 1984. In 1945, you have seen that US dropped a uranium bomb which has both the codes which are named like Little Boy and Fatal Man on the city of Hiroshima and the Nagasaki of the Japan country. So, in that particular thing, many of the people, civilians were killed and thousands later from radiation sickness and related to cancers. So, that is how the impact of the radiation leaks and the gas. So, the third man-made disaster is toxic waste disposal. So, in the toxic waste disposal, how do we get this toxic waste disposal? See, when the era of 21st century, every student for that matter, every layman is also using the mobile phones. Okay. That means when the technology is increasing, usage of electronic things is also getting increased. But what will you do? See, after damage of the mobile, what will you do? You will throw that mobile into the dustbin and you will purchase the new mobile. Then what about that thrown mobile in your dustbin? What will happen with that particular mobile? So, whatever the chemicals which have been used while preparing that mobile, they will accumulate, isn't it? That is to be called as a e-waste, that is electronic waste. So, when the garbage people will, the service people will collect those mobiles and they will separate the different parts of that particular, not only mobile, you can take television, you can take anything, electronic thing, okay. When they are separating, bifurcating the things from that particular things, what will happen? They will dispose, or the waste material will be leaked from that particular electronic waste. That will harm to the not only the people but also to the surrounding environment. So toxic waste is an unwanted material that can cause harm to by being inhaled or swallowed or absorbed through the skin, okay. So mostly the waste is generated by the consumer products like televisions, computers, cellular phones and the solar panels, which contain toxic chemicals that can pollute not only the air but also it will contaminate the soil as well as the water, okay. In Campania, that is Italy, in response to this particular electronic waste or the toxic waste disposable, dumping and the burning of the toxic and the solid waste of chemical molecules like dioxins that are carcinogenic to cancer in humans and animals. So most of the things, and there is a campaigns which have been taken place in the country like New Zealand and even Mayapuri site in India also, to stop or to reduce this type of electronic waste. How can we stop or how can we reduce this toxic waste disposal? Because we can bury them in a landfill, okay. Instead of impacting all surrounding land and the air and the human beings, we can bury, or you can go with the help of the landfill, so that in that particular area we can dig the land and we can dispose all the electronic waste into that particular place, okay. So the next man-made disaster is oil spills, okay. Oil spills due to release of the liquid petroleum, that is hydrocarbon, into the environment. So it will take place in the marine oil spills. It is released into the ocean in the coastal waters. So that means today, just now we have discussed about the man-made disasters which are impacting on the air, land and environment, and this is the man-made disaster which is not only impacting on the land and the air and the environment, but also it will impacting on the ocean biodiversity very much, okay. In marine oil spills, it is released into the ocean or in coastal waters. So it is estimated that nearly 30 to 50% of all oil spills are directly or the indirectly caused by the human error. Point out that most of the oil spills have been taking place just because of the negligence of the human beings and the technical failure or by deliberate release, okay, which will affect the human health, marine life as well as the coastal ecosystem. As we know that all the oceans are the depository of our resources. If you spoil that particular part of our ecosystem, what will happen? It will impact on everything, because every resource will be damaged, and that lead to the many impacts on the humankind. So in between 1970 to 2000, there were around, you can imagine, 7,000 of oil spills were done in the span of 30 years. Between 1956 to 2007, up to 1.5 million tons of oil was spilled in the Niger Delta, okay. So that's how these things are taking place, okay. This is the examples of the oil spills, man-made disaster. And the next man-made disaster is forest fire. Forest fire, the forest fires and the wild bush fire. See, wild bush fire is a natural disaster, okay, and that is taking place due to the lightning, okay, natural activities like lightning, stone friction, okay, these due to the wild bush fire it will take place. Wherein forest fire is the man-made disaster which can take place due to the atmospheric temperature and the dryness offer favorable condition for a fire or the ignite, okay. So it will threat to the both flora as well as the fauna, biodiversity as well as the forest ecosystem, okay. This is about the forest fires. You can imagine 73,000 forest fires have been recorded in Amazon rainforest in the 2019, resulting San Paulo city being engulfed with a dark smoky haze. The same forest fire you can give the examples of the Bandipur in our India, which was actually in our India forest fires will not witness, but in the year 2019 the Bandipur forest fire has taken place, whereas the Camp fire taken place in the year 2018, and Uttarakhand forest fire which was taken place in the year of 2016, and the Greek forest fire which was taken place in the year of 2007. So, this is the forest fire which will threat not only to the human life, not only to the resources, but also it will threat to the flora and fauna of that particular forest, because forest will also provide plenty of resources which are need for a development of any country. Okay, without resources no country will develop. So, that is how the forest fire will impact on the economy also. Okay, so this is a brief description about the forest fires, man-made disasters. Okay, now let us know we have seen that few man-made disaster. Now we will see natural versus man-made disasters. Okay, so the interrelationship between both natural as well as the man-made disaster is very complex and the multifaceted. Okay, often anthropogenic activities as well, we can call them as the man-made disaster, trigger the natural disaster to happen. So, while you are taking urban expansion, see, while the urban cities are increasing, when the urban cities are increasing, most of the land is being converted from the forest or the agriculture to the built up area. What does it mean? There is an expansion of urban at the cost of agriculture area, or else at the cost of water body, or at the cost of forest, isn't it? So, when the urban is increasing, when the population is increasing, urban is getting expanded, that means whatever the resources are being, they have been not utilized, they have been exploited. When the resources are being exploited, what will happen? Whatever the natural disasters are taking, the intensity of the natural disaster is increasing, which is the man-made factor. Do you agree with me? So, the natural disasters are natural events which are taking place, but the intensity or the occurrence of the natural events are increasing because of the human activities. If you agree with me, then if you observe, you can agree with me. Okay, that is, there is an alternation of topography for developmental activities, the water management practices, mining exploitation, untreated waste disposal things, pollution, excess of greenhouse gases, and the chlorofluoro gases, and the emission and the nuclear war trigger the natural disaster to happen. The intensity of the natural disasters is increasing and the occurrence of the natural disasters also increasing. So, these activities will alter the natural environment and geological conditions which are leading to cause unpredicted climate change, because now you can see this is the day where you can see the 3 seasons in one day. Some see morning rainy season, afternoon summer season, and night winter season. This is what unpredicted climate change, isn't it? Local level I am giving the example. Okay, so this is amplifying the frequency and intensity of the natural disasters such as floods, droughts, storms, and the mass movements, extreme weather, forest fire, earthquakes, and the ozone layer depletion. So, on one hand, these activities are for the purpose of the economic and the resource development, but on the other hand, they contribute to the natural disasters. So, it is reported that in every 20 seconds of a working hour, at least one person is dying to industrial disaster. So, if you look at the conclusion, okay, disasters are results in casualties, injuries, easing to spread communicable diseases, food crisis, socio-economic losses, shortage of drugs and medical supplies, environmental disruption, ecological imbalance, degradation of resources, and long-term impacted on affected groups. So, disasters are evident unlike human errors in the daily life. To some extent, the certain disasters can be avoided by conscious and systematic activities as well as the precautionary efforts through planned disaster management. Thank you so much.